Hello, everyone. Thank you for stopping by. Today is a beautiful and gorgeous day. The sun is shining, the butterflies are fluttering, the birds are singing, and I thought this is a good day to go outside and enjoy the day. So here I am in our backyard, just enjoying the wonderful gift that God gave us today. So I would like to share with you one of my homeless stories. Now, this happened many years ago. I was doing work at one of the homeless shelters in Dayton, and I met a young man there. And the day that I met him, he was sitting in the lobby talking to the security guard, and he looked very depressed, uh, very down, crushed in spirit. And so when I met him, I asked him if he was okay and if he wanted to talk. So he started sharing his story with me. And what happened with this young man, he must have been maybe 24 years old. And he lived about an hour away from Dayton. And he had gone to Dayton with big plans, big dreams. He was going to go live in Dayton, get a job. He didn't know anyone there, but he had these big dreams and big hopes. And so, what he did, he went to Dayton, and all of his plans did not materialize the way he wanted them to. And so, he didn't find a job. He was having a hard time finding a place to stay with no friends, no family. What do? He ended up at the shelter, and he was trying to get back home, and he had contacted his family, his friends. He had even contacted some church members, telling them about his predicament, and he was asking them for help in getting back home because he had no money, and no one was willing to help him. He did talk to his pastor, but his pastor told him, "I'm sorry, you're very far away, and I don't have the way to go down there and pick you up and bring you back home." So he did not know what to do, how to get back home. He was very unhappy staying at the shelter. And so that day that I met him and he told me all his story, the whole time that he's telling me this story, God kept pricking my heart. And God kept telling me, you have the means to get him back home. Do it. But I didn't want to do it because I didn't know the young man. And quite frankly, I didn't know if his story was true or not. And so the whole time he's telling me and almost in tears, God just kept pricking my heart and telling me, you have the means to help him. Do it. And I just kept ignoring that little voice, and I kept telling God in my head, but Lord, I don't know this man. And I really didn't have a way financially to put him on a Greyhound and send him back home. So that meant if I was going to get him back home, I was going to have to drive him. And I was worried about my safety, right? Because he lived a good hour away. And I kept saying, no, 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 no. I don't want to do this. send me to do anything else, but not that, God. But He would not let me be. So finally, I dropped my resistance and I said to the young man, I said, if you truly want to get back home, I will drive you back. And when I said that, he was beside himself. He could not believe that a complete stranger was willing to help him out when his family, when his friends, not even his pastor or the church folks were willing to do that for him. And here I was saying, okay, I'll take you home. And when I said that, the security guard who had been talking to him prior to my arriving at the shelter, I guess the security guard had been giving him encouragement, trying to lift his spirits up. And when I said, I'll take you home, the security guard looks at the young man and he says, I told you that God was going to send someone to help you. And that was me. So I said to the young man, okay, I'm going to help you. I'm going to drive you back home. But tomorrow you have to be in the lobby at this time, and I will drive you back home. So that's what I did. The following day, I went to the shelter, and listen, even on the second day that I was there to pick him up, I was still hoping that the young man would not be in the lobby so that I could say to God, see, I told you he wouldn't be there. I wanted a way out so that I could feel good about myself and saying, Lord, I did everything, but look, the guy's not in the lobby and I could go home. But that's not the way it happened. I got there promptly, and the young man is right there in the lobby waiting for me. He even had his lunch meal there because he didn't want to eat it in the lunchroom because he wanted to make sure he was going to be in the lobby, even if it meant taking his food to the lobby and while sitting there eating his lunch. So I walk into the lobby and there he is with his little meager possessions waiting for me. And so I said, okay, come on, let's go. And before I got on the freeway to take him back home, I knew I needed to get gas. So I filled the gas tank up and we get on the freeway, and then we ended up on a 2-lane road out in the middle of cornfields. I mean, this is like desolate area. There aren't any Burger Kings, McDonald's, nothing. It's just a 2-lane road, a straight 2-lane road with nothing around for miles. And so I'm just worrying about my safety and saying, God, okay, you sent me, protect me. And let me tell you, this young man, when we were driving, he started telling me all about the Bible. He started telling me all the stories that he knew that were in the Bible. And he's going on and on and on and sharing all these things he knows about the Bible and the stories. Because see, this young man, he was a good church-going young man. He made a mistake, a foolish mistake, and he was paying the price for it. But he was a good man. Okay, he was a good young man. And so he's going on and on about the Bible, the stories, and I'm just listening to him the whole time, just amazed at how much knowledge he has about the Bible. And so we're on this 2-lane road out in the middle of nowhere pretty much, and I got stuck behind a big rig, and I was concerned about going around the big rig because of oncoming traffic. And so I just decided, well, just slow down and eventually we'll get to where we need to go. So that's what I did, and I just decided to enjoy his storytelling. And while I'm driving on this 2-lane road, I looked in my rearview mirror and I noticed there was an old, beat up white car following behind me a good distance away, a safe distance away. But he's just driving right behind me. And I thought that was strange. I don't know why. But it was one of these old, big, beat up cars. The old cars, that gas guzzlers, okay? So we're driving, and I'm sandwiched behind the big rig and this beat up old jalopy car. And I'm telling you, the whole time, that car in back of me does not waver. It's just keeping a steady distance away. And I thought to myself, Lord, what is this with this vehicle? Who is this? It's almost like the car was my spotter. Okay. So we go on and on. It seemed like forever. Okay. And when we got close to our destination, the big rig turned right onto a smaller road. But just before the big rig turned, the car in back of me sped up, like to pass us up, to pass me and the big rig up. And all of a sudden, I just see this blur because he was gunning it. And he goes super fast, goes around the two of us, and I'm listening for crashing sounds, right? Because there's oncoming traffic. But this guy, I thought to myself, wow, this is one brave person to attempt to pass not only me, but the big rig. So he passes us up, no crashing sounds, okay? And I would say less than 5 minutes after he passed us up, that's when the big rig turned right onto a smaller road. And I thought, oh, good. I'll get to see the vehicle that passed us up, because I was curious to see who was in there, what kind of car it was. So do you know, and still to this day, I don't have a good explanation for it, but when the big rig turned right, all there was there in front of me was an empty 2-lane road. No cars, nothing. And I'm thinking to myself, what? What is this? The car that passed us up should be in front, somewhere in front. Because like I said, it was a straight road. There weren't any side roads that he could have taken. There weren't any fast food restaurants that he could have pulled into. Nothing. And so I'm just blown away. and think to myself, what did I just witness? Because this vehicle was nowhere to be found. Nowhere, not even a speck of this vehicle could be found in the horizon. And I said, it's not possible. It's not possible in the earthly sense that this vehicle went around us less than 5 minutes ago and he disappeared into nothing. I couldn't believe it. And so I pondered that in my heart, and I was just trying to think, what did I just witness? I thought, Lord, is this someone that you sent to be my guide, to be my spotter? And like I said, to this day, I still don't have a good explanation for that incident. So we finally reached our destination. I dropped him off in front of his friend's house, and I want to show you the picture. This was him. That was his best friend. And those things in his arms, those were his only material possessions that he had. And I had made up a little, like, kit for him with granola bars and snacks and things like that. And he has that in his hand too. So this young man was so happy. He could not believe that I, a stranger, when everybody else failed him, I was there to help him out. And when I dropped him off in front of his friend's house, he was almost in tears. And he kept telling me, I'm never going to forget what you did for me. I'm going to tell everybody, when I tell them this story, I'm going to tell them about you and what you did for me. And I said to him, look, all I want from you is if you're ever in a position to help somebody out, do it. And so I dropped him off. He was happy. And I gave him some last parting words of wisdom, like, don't ever do that again. And, other words of wisdom that I could think of. So I dropped him off, got in my car, and I realized I have an hour of driving back home. So I said, well, let me put gas in my car just to be safe. Even though when I picked him up before we got on the freeway, I had filled my gas tank, but I thought it's better to be safe than sorry. So I decided I was going to fill the tank up on my trip back home. When I looked at my gas gauge, do you know that that needle did not move at all? At all. And like I said, this was a good hour drive, okay? That needle should have at least gone down a little bit, but nothing. It was straight up. It's almost as though I didn't use any gas to get that young man back to his hometown. And it's like God was saying, okay, I'm gonna help you with your gas expenses. So I'm gonna make it so that you don't use any of your gas. And so here it was, that gas gauge pointing straight up, right? So I share this story with you because in life, we meet so many people. People come in and out of our lives throughout our whole lifetime. And sometimes God sends people to us to help. So whenever you have an opportunity to help someone out, and if you're able to, I encourage you to do that. The Bible says, be careful because you never know when you'll be entertaining angels, right? Something like that. So to this day, I still periodically think about that young man. This happened many, many years ago, okay? It wasn't anything recent. But I was looking through my little photo album. This is the photo album that I have where I keep a lot of my homeless pictures. And I was flipping through it one day and I ran across the picture. And I remembered the young man that I had driven back home. And so I thought I'd share the story with you. God truly works in mysterious ways, right? God has done so many things in my life, and some of the things He's done, they've just blown my mind. And so this is my testimony, okay? We should all be willing to share our testimony with other people. Don't keep it inside, okay? This is something that I feel was God inspired. My meeting that young man in the lobby of the homeless shelter, I believe it was preordained by God. Because if I had not been there that day, that young man would not have been able to get back home. And even though initially I was hesitant, like, no, I don't want to do it. My safety, my safety is important. But God was there to spot me. He sent a spotter to me. And so I hope you enjoyed this story. It's beautiful out here. It's just one of those gorgeous days that you're just so thankful to be alive. And look, all the birds are flying. They're so sweet. Butterflies are fluttering around. What a precious and glorious gift from God. And I tell people every morning that you wake up, it's a blessing from above. Don't ever forget to say thank you. So this is my view. The trees are full of leaves. The birds, like I said, are flying around. The sky is blue. I'm in our backyard enjoying this gorgeous and beautiful day. I hope wherever you are, you're having a good day. And be safe, okay? We're in terrible and unimaginable times. You know what's going on. But we have to be smart. Use the wisdom that God gave you to make wise decisions, okay? All right, sweetie. I want to thank you for stopping by and visiting with us, all right? And if you have not subscribed to our channel, please consider subscribing. We're a little mustard seed ministry, a little mustard seed channel. Okay, but I say, watch us grow. God has been fertilizing the ministry. We're a nonprofit homeless ministry. Right now, because of the pandemic, I have not been able to do the ministry work because I'm trying to be safe. And I'm trying to keep my homeless people safe too. So they've been in isolation as well as I have been. So thank you for stopping by. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Tell me what you think of this story. And just remember, okay, God loves you very, very much, okay? Go out and enjoy the day. If you can help somebody out, do it, all right? All right, sweetie. I'm going to get back to my book, okay? And I brought some water with me, okay? We need to stay hydrated during this time of year. All right, sweetie. Bye-bye. Have a blessed day.